the DRF College Sports Podcast. My name's Jack Fitzpatrick. I'm joined by Bennett Conlon. Bennett, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Jack. I'm good. We had a decent week last week, I'd say.
Yeah, not too bad. Our best bets hit. So if that's, I mean, at the end of the day, isn't that really what matters? If the bests of what we're doing hit, then everything's fine.
We won a bunch, and then we also, Jack, we had some learning experiences.
Yeah.
We don't lose on this podcast, but we do learn.
Yeah, there's no losing. There's wins and losses, of course. There's W's and L's, excuse me. There's W's and L's, but those L's in our world are learning experiences. Another way you can learn, this segue is not going to go smoothly into this read, but here we go. Cash Grab is DRF Sports' all-new free-to-play sports prediction app where you can win real money. It's available to every sports fan in the App Store and Google Play Store. Win real cash prizes every day, as well as a chance to win big money jackpots. And Thanksgiving, there's going to be an awesome football potluck for you guys to play. You have to check it out. All you have to do is download the free DRF Cash Grab app, create an account, and start predicting who will win the first quarter, how many touchdowns will Alvin Kamara score. Answering questions like these can end in you making real money. Download the DRF Cash Grab app now and win big. Speaking of winning big, Wyoming did that. And so did Utah over Oregon. Those were our best bets last week, so I had to kind of tie it in somehow, some way.
There you go.
I think I'm getting pretty good at this whole segue thing. But, I mean, overall, yeah, I mean, the picks we gave on the podcast, I guess we shouldn't really talk about the picks that lost us money that we didn't necessarily talk about on the podcast. I think we started chasing at some points last week and ended up in a hole there, and that wasn't too much fun. But this week, we have a lot of games to cover, a lot of these early season tournaments. Thanksgiving has a couple good games, and tonight we're recording Tuesday, so we won't be able to talk too much about Gonzaga UCLA, but that's going to be a good one. Gonzaga Duke coming up on Friday, so we'll touch on that. But before we get into all of that, Thanksgiving is right around the corner, so I just need to know if we're going rankings, we have to power rank some stuff real quick. Favorite food, favorite beverage. Give me your top 3 foods.
Top 3. That's a good question. Mine are kind of boring. Like, I kind of just love the basic ones. Like, I think turkey with the gravy on it.
Oh, you're a turkey guy?
Not normally, but like on Thanksgiving, I lean into the turkey. I like the idea of stuffing myself and getting really sleepy. And you know how they talk about the tryptophan, right? And the chemicals in the turkey. I don't know if it's even a chemical, but the substances, whatever, in the turkey that knocks you out, makes you go to sleep. So turkey's up there. I'm a stuffing guy. Love me some stuffing. And my grandmother, she will not be where I am, where I won't be in the same location for this Thanksgiving. But she makes a pretty solid green bean casserole, which I know maybe not the most popular with some. I bet, are you a cranberry sauce guy? We'll see. I guess, should we do your foods?
Speaking of green bean casserole, that's my number one. That is head and shoulders above everything else. Green bean casserole is the number one. Turkey don't get me wrong, I love turkey. Like, I'm a big time turkey guy, even during not Thanksgiving time, big time deli meat Thanksgiving guy. However, this doesn't crack my top 3. It goes green bean casserole, love mashed potatoes, good mashed taters up there with the gravy, just something about that. And stuffing is number 3. Stuffing is always, a goodie. Cranberry sauce, though, I respect people who like it.
The people who have like anti-cranberry sauce, to me, is weird. Like, if just don't eat it then. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a huge cranberry sauce guy, but some people will like take out their pitchforks and go on about
to go on about what? How much they hate cranberry sauce.
Hatred of cranberry sauce. Yeah, it's weird.
I will say I do love cranberry sauce on a leftover turkey sandwich the next day.
That's fair.
I learned that, I think, last year, 2 years ago. Favorite beverage? What's your go-to beverage on Thanksgiving?
Beverages, I mean, there's nothing too exciting there. It kind of depends on my mood. I sort of switch it up. Normally on beer, maybe so some people, they eat Thanksgiving around like noon. We're all Detroit Lions fans. We often eat around like 5. So we watch the Lions game. The Lions always have the early slot. So we watch the Lions game. So maybe I'll do beer and then transition to wine. Then after dinner, maybe I'll do a little whiskey or something.
Oh, I like it. I like it. As you commiserate your sadness as the Lions failed to win again.
Yeah, we'll talk about that game on this. There's no doubt. Hit me with your 3 beverages.
Wine, and
You're a big wine
hazy
guy.
IPA.
You're a big wine guy. Let's go.
I am. All right, so moving off of all of that, time to jump into some college basketball, all of that good stuff. I put down some games in our rundown. I don't know if you want to stray from it too much, but I think we need to start talking about this Thursday 5 p.m. game. So on Thanksgiving at 5 p.m. So around when your family's sitting down for dinner, we got Alabama, number 10 Alabama, facing off with Iona. What's the spread looking like in this game?
It's looking like, based on Ken Pom, you're looking at Alabama maybe minus 14. That's a really good Alabama team, but I think it's worth noting that Iona, because we talked about them in the last podcast.
Exactly. That's why I brought them up. I want to have kind of like that team that's always around. I feel like Iona's going to be that random team that for some reason is always around.
I'm really high on them. So I was high on them last week, right? They beat Hofstra, and I think Hofstra is a pretty decent team. They've had some tough results here recently. They're 1-4, but I think they'll be good once they start playing some lesser competition, which they will. So Iona beats them by 8. I thought that was really impressive. Then they beat Liberty by 4 in kind of a lower scoring game. Now, Liberty this year is kind of scuffling. They might actually be a bad team. So maybe that's something there. But they beat them as well. They're 5-0. They've played good basketball. Rick Pitino's the head coach. Like, to me, they're in that Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. So it's like the MAC. I guess they still call it the MAC, but you got an extra A in there, so we like to hold it out. I think they're good. Like, I'll maybe take a look at them plus 14, but realistically, with the busy day of action across sports this weekend and on Thursday, I'm probably not going to put a lot of money down on an Alabama-Iona game.
Yeah, and also here's the thing with Alabama. I've talked about it a few times in my weekly betting column at drf.com/sports. They can hit the 3 really well. So you're looking at a game that could be, 7 points with 5 minutes left in the second half, and Iona's kind of sticking around. But then all of a sudden Iona turns it over maybe a few times, or you blink and Alabama's hit 3 threes, and all of a sudden, that's 9 points, and now they're up 16. Like, the way Alabama plays, I mean, they're shooting from 3. They're 55 of 78 this season. Absolutely. That's wrong. I'm looking at the very much wrong thing on their website. They're shooting 31.6, so 32% as a team from 3, 136 attempts, 43 makes, but 46.7% from the field. So I think they shot over 50% from the field as a team last season, and they jack up a lot of threes. So that means they're hitting almost just paint shots right underneath the hoop. That's the way Nate Oates likes to play. Former math teacher, so he's really into analytics. I would look at Iona plus 14, but I think I would bet Alabama minus 14.
Yeah, it's an interesting game to kind of handicap. I think both teams are solid. They both defend the 3 really well too, but like you're saying, there's a lot of like layups and 3-point shots for Alabama, who hasn't necessarily killed it yet, but like you're saying, they've got a ton of really good shooters. If those start falling, it's going to be tough. I would also imagine they've got a little bit of a height advantage. So if they do try to go down low, I think they'll be able to do that. They've got, a 7-foot freshman who seems like he's done some really good things down low this year. So we'll see how that goes, but actually probably a sneaky fun matchup with Nate Oates, Rick Pitino. Those are 2 really good coaches.
Yeah, those Thursday Thanksgiving games in college basketball are always a fun time. Moving on from that one, you got Maryland taking on Richmond. This might be a little bit of I'm big on Richmond this year. I'm not sure why. They haven't really – I think they're 2-2 this season or something like that. They haven't necessarily been fantastic, but I'm kind of high on the Spiders. And Maryland hasn't been too good.
There are 2 losses for Richmond are to top 100, top 70 Ken Pom teams, at least at the time of the game, I believe. So they're not bad at all. They're 3-2. I think their wins, to me, like Georgia State and Hofstra. I know those teams, maybe they're not tournament teams in terms of like an at-large resume, but I think they both have a good shot to win their mid-major conferences. Maryland just straight up has not looked good. They're 4-1. George Mason beat them. George Mason seemed like maybe they were a world beater. They've lost 2 in a row, albeit in really close games. JMU and Washington. Good on you for that JMU pick last week.
Sometimes homerism comes through.
I think Maryland's a little bit overrated. So if you can it's a neutral site, I believe. I don't know exactly what tournament that is, but I should have looked that up. But it's a Thursday game, neutral site, and Ken Pom saying that you could have Richmond as a 2-point dog. If that's close to a pick 'em, I think I would definitely take Richmond.
I'd also take Richmond as a 2-point dog in that game. I mean, they're shooting about 50%.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can find them as an underdog, go Richmond definitely, because I think they're a solid team. Grant Golden is really, really solid. A big man who is going to tear up the A10 when they get into A10 play. And I think he can tear up Maryland. And Maryland isn't as good as we thought they were going to be. I think 20th to start the season, something like that. So Richmond's the pick for us in that one. Moving on to Georgia, kind of a lightning round college basketball picks for Thanksgiving. San Diego State, they host Georgetown.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of an interesting run, right? Where I think Georgetown has kind of been a little bit weird this year. Where they open with a 9-point loss to Dartmouth. They do bounce back with a couple good performances against bad teams. I just think San Diego State's better. They're 3-1. Their one loss was a 6-point road loss to BYU, and my God, BYU looks really good. So I think San Diego State's going to be a good side to be in that one. What do you kind of feel about that one? And KenPom's saying San Diego State maybe -5 potentially in that one.
I think I like that. It's Friday morning. It's technically Thursday at midnight.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I agree. I like San Diego State in that one. I think they're solid. But what you brought up with BYU, and kind of I like Utah State too so far this season.
Mm-hmm.
But BYU more so. They beat down Oregon probably a week and a half ago. What are your thoughts? Is BYU a dark horse team come March? Is it too early to start talking about March?
I think they're going to end up being less of a dark horse because I think they're stupid good. I think they might be a top 15 team.
Oh, wow.
So I think they've got a chance to maybe be on the more on the national radar than that. If they do struggle a little bit, lose some conference games, right, that aren't to Gonzaga, then maybe you're looking at a sneaky team. But I think they're going to be really, really good. I think the West Coast Conference actually has some pretty good teams. I know Gonzaga takes some heat, but they got some teams in that league.
Yeah, they do. They have some real teams. Moving on from that, so you said San Diego State. I said San Diego State. I would even take the points there, -5. Georgetown, I think, is kind of floundering this season. To start, not saying that it's how it's going to finish. Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State at Oral Roberts. What? Why are we talking about this game? Probably because Max Asmus is a star for Oral Roberts, but I think it's a fun one. Who do you got? Or I guess what's KenPom's kind of feeling on it?
Looks like KenPom -10 for Oklahoma State in that one. It's saying it's a home game for Oral Roberts.
Yes, it is.
Is it Oral Roberts? Oral Roberts is in Oklahoma.
I just learned that right now.
I thought it was in Ohio. That's just because they beat Ohio State, I assume.
Oh, I thought it was in Oral.
It's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I guess it'll be an in-state battle there for that one. Yeah, they can score a little bit, right, with that bunch of shooters they have there at guard. So that'll be somewhat fun to watch. Maybe look at the over. Although Oklahoma State plays some pretty darn good defense, so that could be a tough one there. But they've scored a lot. I'll probably stay away just because I'm always terrified when you got a mid-major team with one guy who can go for 40. It's I don't want any part of that.
I mean, in all honesty, Oral Roberts really shouldn't be in that game. But, I mean, we saw what happened in March Madness. Max Asmus all of a sudden decided to just dominate, and then they pulled off one of the biggest upsets in recent memory. They're 182 in KenPom. Oral Roberts is an all right pace at an all right tempo at 72. They have a good offense, but a terrible defense. So I think that'll be kind of the difference in that. And Oklahoma State's a top 40 KenPom team. So I think Oklahoma State kind of wins that easily, but a little scared at the same time that there's the possibility that it's kind of a bigger game. It's Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. It's Oklahoma State. Who knows what might happen, but Oklahoma State's probably the safer of the two picks if you want to go safe on that. And then just to kind of wrap this college basketball, firing away, rapid fire portion of the podcast up, a great game. We don't know what's going to happen with Gonzaga UCLA tonight, but to preview Gonzaga Duke, which is another top 5 matchup coming up on Friday, who do you got?
So Gonzaga is still rated crazy high on KenPom, which I understand. I've been really impressed, though, with the way that Duke is played. I think there's some value there, maybe Duke spread. I also, tonight, we'll see what happens, but UCLA, I think they're +7 or something.
They are. They're +7 as of right now. This is 4:19 Eastern. That seems high to me.
It felt really high to me, so I was considering it. There's a little promo where you could take on one of the sports books. I think it was DraftKings, but you could take one side of the spread If you bet at least $50, you get like $1 for every 3 that's made or something like that. Maybe it's $3 for every 3 free bet if you get it wrong or whatever. So I don't know. I think that'll be interesting, but I would probably lean Duke with the spread and maybe even sprinkle money line, depending on kind of what happens in that UCLA game. But Duke looks like a really good team to me. They're well coached. They got a bunch of studs. Banchero, I guess they've changed the pronunciation of his name like 4 times, but I think it's Paulo Banchero now. But he's really good as a freshman. Like he's an absolute stud who has guard skills, and he's 6'10", 250. But you've also got Drew Timme and Chet Holmgren. Like there's a lot of really good size in that game. So probably worth carving out time Friday to watch, if nothing else.
If you can find time at 10:30 at night on a Friday. That is such a late game. That's all I know.
I got a couple snoozers coming up this week that I'll pick your brain on here. Belmont Drake is a Thursday game, 7:30. I don't know if it's even on TV or if it's a streaming network or what, but Belmont and Drake, they're both like top 75-ish mid-majors. I think it's got Drake -2. They're undefeated. They got a win over Richmond. They've looked pretty solid. Close win. Belmont's coming off a 30-point road loss to LSU. LSU has been super impressive, by the way. They've looked really, really good this year. But I kind of like a somewhat desperate Belmont team on a neutral floor, maybe catching some points because they've looked bad recently. I think you have a good buy low spot, so I think I'm going to end up being on Belmont in that game.
I like your reasoning behind that, because when you brought up the game at first, Drake Belmont, I'm leaning Drake because Belmont also had a 12-point loss to Ohio, who are the defending MAC champions. They upset UVA in March Madness last season. So a tough loss, and then that bad loss, it just kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth. But with everything you're saying, maybe I lean Belmont there. But I think just to be different from you, I think I like Drake.
Really? You're a big Drake guy?
Well, I was a big Drake guy last season too. Like I don't know if you remember, but I mean, at one point I was stupidly high on them when they were like undefeated. I was like, they should be a top 10 team. Just being kind of annoying and being like that guy. But I'm really high on Drake. Their head coach is really good. They don't lose against the spread a lot too. So
they were incredible last year, right? During the undefeated run, weren't they like also undefeated against the spread for a while?
Yeah, close to it. I like Drake in that game. I think Belmont might be a really good team, but I think Drake's a better team, if that makes sense.
Fair enough. Friday, we've got Longwood at Old Dominion. I like Longwood here. I think
Longwood to crush them. I don't think ODU's good. ODU doesn't know what an offense is.
ODU has looked terrible recently. Longwood, they're coming off an 11-point home loss to a bad Western Carolina team, so that's not exciting. But they've won a few. They're 4-2. 2 of those are against like non-D1 teams, but they also have a couple blowout wins. I think they were riding high, and they played 3 games in a row, which makes me think that was a little bit of just a letdown spot against Western Carolina. It's a road game at ODU, but I think it's a well-coached team. They have some solid players. They haven't really used Michael Christmas much, Jamie transfer. Not sure what the deal is with him, but they have some decent players, a lot of seniors, some experienced guys. I think you can get some value there against an Old Dominion team that's just really not good.
Yeah, Old Dominion Longwood too, though, their adjusted offense in KenPom. ODU's 225, Longwood's 248. Both of them run a slow tempo. So, I mean, if you're not betting, I might not bet the spread on this game, but I'm hammering the under.
The total is going to be crazy low. I would think the total is like 120.
Yeah, but I would still take the under because they're both in the bottom 300 of tempo, and they're both in bottom 200 of offense, and they're both average at defense. Like they're both in the mid 100s of defense. So like really slow, okay defenses with terrible offenses tells me no one's going to score. I mean, that's a toss-up game. I can't tell you who's going to win that, so I'm staying away from the spread. I'll go under all day, though.
I'm going to lean Longwood, although we'll see if I end up going back and remembering this, but I'll plan to lean with that. We've got to do a quick Saturday question here for you. I don't know if any of the matchups right now that are scheduled, there might be some that come up based on the tournaments and how they develop, but we won't get too premature there. But BYU and Utah, a little rivalry between those two schools. BYU. They're supposed to play at Utah. I thought this was interesting. KenPom has BYU by 2. It's a 5-0 Utah team. Been pretty good on both ends. Got a win over Boston College. They beat Tulsa. A couple top 150 teams. Kind of interested in that game.
Yeah. I am too. I'm not saying I'm not, but I just think BYU is head and shoulders better than them.
That's fair.
Like there's 50 spots separating them in Ken Palm. And I know at this point in the season, Ken Palm really isn't the end all be all because there's so many weird things. Like JMU has a 95-point win and then what, 4, 5 or less point wins. So like it is just really hard to gauge where these teams are at this point in the season. You really start to get to know a team and once conference play starts. But with all that being said, I really do think BYU is the real deal. And I think they can take it to a Utah team who is pretty good. They're nothing to scoff at in terms of offense and defense, doing it well on both sides of the ball. But BYU is just doing it better on both sides of the ball with a slow tempo. And we all know what a slow tempo and efficient offense means.
I might lean Utah here. I'm gonna wait till tip though. That would be my advice. Kind of see what the spread is. I think there's a chance to maybe block it a little bit later until tip and see if it moves a lot with people leaning on BYU. Utah's got a whole week in between to prepare. Oh, I don't know. I might do it, but I get what you're saying. BYU certainly looked better. So I've gotten burned in the past where I take a team trying to think with like my betting brain and then I ignore the basketball, and I probably shouldn't be ignoring the basketball.
Well, sometimes what we found, especially last week, we were thinking a lot with our basketball brains when we were chasing, but our podcast picks, I think we melded the two together. Tennessee was a blowout and was just a bad pick. But the podcast last week, I think we really did a good job of melding our basketball brain, our like understanding of the timings, what types of games they were, and melding that with the betting brain of angles, line movements, and against the spreads and like their records against the spreads dating back to last season. I think we did a really good job with that. So yeah, we have to be careful about when we use our basketball brains and not. I think if we're using our basketball and betting brains, BYU's the pick there.
I'm still gonna pick Utah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Should we do a little high-low parlay action?
Yeah, I'm ready.
We both went 1-1. I think we ended up taking them. At least I took my singles as well.
I did a I did singles, and then I also did a part. That's what I've been doing lately, just to talk a little bit of like what I do when I bet. I'll do like 3 bets that I feel really good about, but I'll single them all because like not to like toot my own horn, but if I just do 3 bets a day, normally I'm going like 2 and 1. So if I go a couple bets, I can make a couple bucks and I'll throw it into a parlay too. And then if I hit all 3, I'm having a darn good day. But so I did do single parlay. What was your pick last week?
I had so I kind of went interchanged, right? I think I ended up saying Iona over Liberty was what I was going to take in the high-low parlay, but I also really liked Chattanooga over VCU. Both those ended up hitting for the mid-major side. And then I had Georgia over Georgia Tech. They ended up losing by 10, so that did not hit. Georgia stinks. Georgia really stinks.
But see, but this is also the thing we're talking about at the beginning of a basketball season. It's really hard to bet at the beginning of a basketball season because you see a performance or two one week, and then the next week when they're playing again is just a completely different team. We thought Georgia might have some chance. Georgia Tech had lost like 90% of their starting lineup from last season, and it felt like a spot you could get Georgia in kind of a Georgia Tech throwdown. But at the end of the day, Georgia Tech is actually a good team, and Georgia is actually terrible.
I think that's fair.
All right, so getting into the high-low parlay.
The high-low parlay. I think I might mix and match with football. Is that allowed?
This is our podcast. I think we can make the rules.
All right. That's fair. So the mid-major, I kind of go back and forth a little bit. I think I'm going to end up taking San Diego State spread against Georgetown. I love that you mentioned that game is on the West Coast. It's like a midnight tip?
It's
East Coast time?
11:59 tip.
All right. So an East Coast time, very late for Georgetown. Body clock, maybe they're thrown off. I don't know if they're already there. They're probably already there for that. But I think that'll be tough. It leans towards San Diego State. Would imagine they would have more fans. They're also, in my opinion, a better team. So I think that basketball one, I like San Diego State spread. And then if we're looking, I'm counting that as mid-major, even though I know San Diego State's kind of like a really respected basketball team.
Yeah, but they're the only team I think we can't consider mid-major is Gonzaga.
Okay.
I would even consider any other WCC school to be a mid-major for this reason, for this thought exercise.
Okay, fair enough. And then I kind of love Nebraska football. Looks like they're going to be a dog. They're hosting Iowa, last game of the year. There's definitely something to play for Iowa. I think they're probably still slightly in the mix, or maybe they're not. I don't even know, for the Big Ten West, a 10-win season if they win. Nebraska's 3-8, and like I say this a lot jokingly, but they're the best 3-8 team in the country. Like they've been so close so many times. They have a 7-point loss to Oklahoma. They lost to Michigan State by 3. They lost to Michigan by 3. They lost to Minnesota by 7. They lost to Purdue by 5. Ohio State by 9. Wisconsin by 7. Like they're playing really good against good teams. The total is 41. So I'll take a shot on Nebraska at home the day after Thanksgiving in a game that's like a rivalry game. I think they'll try to end on a good note. And they've just come so darn close. I feel like they're due to end the year with a win.
All right. I respect that. I don't agree, but I respect that. I'm going to do the same thing because since you brought it up, I feel like it's awesome to go that way. My first one's going to be a mid-major pick. I'm going to go Richmond. If you can get them, what we said they were +2 earlier, right?
Yeah.
Granted, this is a couple days out. Lines aren't really officially out yet, so kind of hold off on that. But I would imagine it's probably going to end at like a pick 'em, something like that. So I would take Richmond money line all day on that. And then my other one. You ready for this one?
Yes.
I'm going to take San Diego State football.
I saw that game, yeah.
+2.5 against Boise State.
I might be on the other side. I think that could be a trap.
It might be, but it's a home game. The public right now, it's early, but the public is leaning Boise State and the points. Yeah, 57% of the public's on it. I'm kind of fading that. The total set at 44. A lot of people like the under on that total. Well, San Diego State has no offense, so I respect that. But our simulations at drf.com/sports, where you can sign up for free to get all this really awesome betting angles and line movements, our simulators like San Diego State to win roughly 28-17. So I'm on San Diego State +2.5. I think they win outright, so I'll even go money line for both of these two money line underdogs, the high-low parlay. That's what I'm feeling.
Boise State is a sneaky good road team. 4-1 this year.
Okay.
But San Diego State, very good at home, 5-1. That should be a really good game. That looks like it's a noon kickoff. That's pretty cool. Is that right?
I'm taking a pause because that can't be right.
I'm seeing on my ESPN app, but there's also a night emoji.
It has to be
because that would be 9 a.m.
Yeah, that's way too early.
That would be stupid.
It's got to be a midnight kickoff here.
It is a 9 a.m. Pacific time kick.
You're lying.
Nope. Might really take the under, man. They're really going to be awake. That's terrible.
Not. Who can you?
The day after Thanksgiving at 9 a.m. That sucks.
Why?
I don't know. That's a great question.
All right.
But I like those.
Thank you. Well, you want to move into some college football?
Yeah, let's do it. We got a great rivalry weekend slate.
This is your favorite time of the year.
I love this, man. I was writing an article today, just a plug here, for Sports Handle about, Thanksgiving games and sort of how families together, rivalries intensify and things like that. And just going through the slate for NFL and college football this time of the year it's so good, man. It's really impressive and incredible. And I'm pretty stoked for the college football slate. I think there's some really good ones here. Does anything catch your eye?
Friday, something catches my eye, and this isn't a game that the whole country is going to be tuned into Friday at 3:30. This is a game that probably very few people will be tuned into. But Cincinnati ECU, you brought it up to me a couple of days ago.
Well, that'll get some people.
Really good game. It's a big game for both sides. ECU at home, they're already bowl eligible for the first time in 7 years, so they're not really playing for much, except to be the spoiler to Cincinnati's playoff hopes. And I think Cincinnati has big-time playoff hopes on the line. If they can kind of rout ECU here, they're probably in.
Yeah, so they're going to have to win out or whatever, right? They'll probably play Houston in the American title game. But they've got a reasonable path I think. Now that you've got Oregon, is the Pac-12 is out of the picture, the ACC is out of the picture. Big 12 is maybe sneaking back in because Oklahoma State has some huge wins. But like Ohio State, Michigan are going to sort itself out. If Alabama loses twice, can make a case that the SEC is only getting one. So there's definitely a path there for Cincinnati. I really like Cincinnati. I have a Cincinnati playoff to make the playoff future ticket that I'm holding that I really hope hits. They were unbelievable against SMU. ECU has the worst loss they have all year is opening night. They lost to Appalachian State by 14. Everything else they've either won or they've lost by a possession. Now I know nobody on the schedule is Cincinnati, but they just find ways to kind of hang in there. The offense has been pretty good. I think they've made some good plays. Cincinnati hasn't covered all that well this year.
I will say Cincinnati's terrible against the spread, but this is only a 14-point spread.
It's going to be interesting. So I don't know if I'll end up betting it. I'd lean ECU. The over's at 58. I kind of think there's a chance that goes over because I don't think ECU plays great defense right now. But I also think that Cincinnati, I don't know, they're hit or miss offensively, but I don't know. I might lean over on that one as well.
All right. Any others that catch your eye kind of before we dive into the hunk and the meat of the Saturday schedule?
You got a Wisconsin-Minnesota game over under 39 on Saturday. That just seems like a fun under to play. So I will probably play that under.
Play that under just so you can see no offense. That is just an abysmal under.
You're getting close to Service Academy level at 39. So that's crazy low. I would consider that. I think I might lean Michigan +8 because Ohio State's been just steamrolling teams.
Okay.
Jack, you were telling me you're on the Michigan State side. Michigan State was down 49-0 in halftime.
Okay, I don't want to talk about that. So take everything I'm about to say with a grain of salt because I was on Michigan State +19 and quickly I was watching that game and quickly I became a huge Ohio State supporter. Just wanted to see them continue to run up the score, see what they could do. So take everything I'm about to say with a grain of salt. I really like Michigan +7.5 here.
Yeah, I think they got a chance to cover.
This might be thinking too much with my football brain, but you ready for it?
Yes.
Harbaugh has never beaten Ohio State.
They haven't won since 2012, so yeah.
So
I think it's 8 in a row.
That in and of itself is this is a huge game. Like I feel like people are neglecting Michigan, where it's like if they win and win the Big Ten title, like Michigan's a playoff team. Yeah, if Michigan wins this game, I think Michigan goes to the playoffs and Ohio State's on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
Because then your Oregon loss looks a lot worse than it was before because Oregon is out of the Pac-12, the bad loss to Utah, and a loss to Stanford. I really like Michigan in this spot. I think
so too.
I think they could even win it. It's at Michigan. They're going to be amped up. They're a good football team. They should have beaten Michigan State earlier in the year. Granted, I had money on Michigan State, so I was really excited that Michigan State ended up winning that game. But, I mean, Michigan's the better team. They've been talking about it on College Game Day every Saturday morning since the rankings have come out, and Michigan's been ahead of Michigan State. Michigan's the better team when you did that, like, stack up. So I think Michigan +7.5 is a great play. And if you want to get a little crazy, +250 on the money line.
Yeah, I think that could be exciting. This is really boring given the slate of games, but maybe my favorite play of the weekend, and I think the one that I might put a decent amount on here. I feel like I've given a lot of leans, but not necessarily plays.
I'm leaning. I think I might sprinkle a little bit. I don't really know. It is Thanksgiving week, so it's going to be hard to get away from the family and watch the games and be fully invested. I understand. Our listeners might not, but
I've got some NFL plays that I like. I know we're more college focused, but I think basketball, I'll stick to kind of what we had said there. I like San Diego State. That's going to be my main play. And probably fading Gonzaga a little bit this week as well. So those will be the two focus for college basketball, just so I put myself on record. But the football play that I love, North Texas hosts undefeated UTSA. North Texas is 5-6. They're a 10.5-point dog. So 6-6 gets you bowl eligibility. I don't know if 6-6 in Conference USA necessarily guarantees a bowl, but 6-6, they'd be 5-3 in conference, gives you bowl eligibility. Jack, they've won 4 in a row. They were 1-6.
Don't look now. Don't look now. The Mean Green Machine won 4 in a row.
They've won 4 in a row. UTSA's last 2 wins are by a combined 13 points. They're undefeated. There's no pressure on North Texas. Like, I guess making a bowl, but I don't think that's pressure. They're at home. It's like mid 50s, middle of the afternoon. Looks like the weather's okay. I just really like North Texas. 10.5 points to me feels like a lot for a team that's just going to be absolutely desperate. And if you're UTSA, what the thing you're playing for is an undefeated season, which to me is really cool, but also maybe you clench together a little bit and get tight. So I love North Texas.
The public agrees with you.
How big is North Texas on that?
North Texas right now, 82% of the public is on North Texas against the spread.
Don't even care.
Okay.
I think
we're not fading the public here. We're keeping with the public.
What about
on it? With what you said, they have won their last 4, and they've also won their last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 against the spread.
What do you see? What are you seeing? Oregon State, Oregon. Are you seeing a lot there in terms of public money?
Oh, we're switching on. We're changing gears from North Texas to Oregon State. Sorry, let me pull that up.
I think Oregon has a chance to be just completely mentally destroyed after
72% of the money is on Oregon State.
Damn it, I'm really public.
Joe Public over here. Hey, how are you,
man.
Public?
I'm going to have to rethink things. I think I'll stick with North Texas. The public thing scares me a little bit, where I might lighten my bet a little bit there, but I love them at 10.5. That just seems crazy to me.
There's also a lot of time where more money can come in. The public still hasn't fully bet. It's Tuesday for Saturday games.
Sure. Here's what I'll say. I'll focus on the Big Ten with a little parlay. I think the under in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and then Michigan +8 or whatever will be my main play. And then I'm going to sprinkle. I'll do more than sprinkle North Texas. So I like North Texas. I like the under in Wisconsin, Minnesota. And I like Michigan to cover against Ohio State. And I might sprinkle a little bit because I feel like Ohio State's looked so good. It's a rivalry game, which is my favorite thing to say this week, Jack. It's like when someone's a huge fan, it's a rivalry game.
All right.
Anything can happen in a rivalry game.
A rivalry game. Who knows? Here's the thing. Is Ohio State going to come out a little bit flat after, just demolishing Michigan State last week? I mean, can Ryan Day get his guys up? There's, the redshirt freshman CJ. I'm saying all of this in jest. Of course, they're going to be up. They're going to be ready for this game. The fact that they were up for last week's game against Michigan State is a testament to that coaching staff because they've had this game circled on their calendar since 2 years ago. With all that being said, I like Michigan. I think that's my play. I think that's my best play. Michigan +7.5, +8.
They're undefeated at home. They're 1 loss. They probably should have beaten Michigan State. I think Michigan's a little bit undervalued. Like, that's a really good team. I know Ohio State is really good, but I like the way Michigan's playing. I think they're a good football team too. They've got back-to-back road wins at Penn State and Maryland, blowout of Maryland. They're looking good. So I think there's a good side there. Maybe you parlay that with North Texas and the under in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and you have yourself a really good weekend. I will say, I know we're not a professional pod. I'm a Lions fan. Absolutely riding the Lions this weekend. Blindly.
Yeah, I feel like this is the only time of the year when all eyes in the country are actively on the Detroit Lions. So hit me. Are you just betting Lions money line? Are you betting any totals? Are you just betting the spread? Hit me with your Thanksgiving Day NFL bets.
I did spread. I did money line, considering the under. It's got a chance to be Andy Dalton versus, I think Tim Boyle. I think I'm already
Tim Boyle, who threw like 12 interceptions in college and no touchdowns, and then his first NFL start threw 2 interceptions and no touchdowns. How does this man have a job?
He can sling it. He didn't have the pieces around him, Jack, but he's a great player. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that's a play that I have. Should we recap what we mostly have for college just to give people an idea, since I said I had so many leans? What are your big plays this weekend?
In college football world?
Anything. College football, college basketball. What are the plays that you love this week? Best bets. Let's recap.
My best bets, hitting it. I like San Diego State football +2.5. I would bet that now because I think money might come in on San Diego State as the week goes on, and it might kind of get bet down a little bit to a pick 'em. So I like San Diego State as a dog. I like them to win outright. I like Richmond basketball over Maryland as a dog. I think the line hasn't officially come out 100% for that one, but I like Richmond. I really like what they're doing. And there are a few of these I actually like. I'm going San Diego State all the way. Maybe do a San Diego State parlay too. I like San Diego State basketball. Thursday midnight over Georgetown. I like them on the spread there. I don't think I'm going to fade Gonzaga. I think they're the best team in the country, but that's not a best bet of mine. So
I think Purdue's the best team in the country.
Bold. And then for football, there's only one I love, and that's Michigan plus 7.5.
I think that's fair. I think that is very fair.
What are yours? I know you've kind of recapped them, but now just in one succinct place.
Yes. I'll do San Diego State men's basketball over Georgetown spread. That's kind of the big one there. I think I'll probably end up on UCLA and Duke, or at least one of those two against Gonzaga. Those are kind of the big ones that are calling my name. I think Longwood over Old Dominion is one that I will end up playing too. And then for football, that's where my focus will be this weekend. I'm going to have Michigan plus the points. I'm going to have Wisconsin, Minnesota under would be on North Texas, the spread there. And I may take a look at some lines come out for some of those opening FCS playoff games. Have some early stuff, kind of like Eastern Washington to beat UNI. I think they're going to put up some points.
I think Eastern Washington beats UNI. If you guys didn't know, Bennett and I are big-time FCS football guys. Until Jamie goes to the Sun Belt, then we'll be big-time mid-major guys. But for right now, this football playoff season, we love the FCS playoffs. So next week's podcast, we'll be diving into the second round a little bit more when we have a little bit more time, when it's not Thanksgiving week. But I think Eastern Washington's a great play. I also think Southern Illinois over South Dakota is a good play.
Yeah, I like that.
I also
they're slumping, but they're a better team.
I also like South Dakota State over UC Davis.
I think South Dakota State is a sneaky national championship play, depending on what odds you can get.
Yes. I also like Southeast. As I'm going through the bracket, I'm like, actually, there's a lot of games I like pretty much. I like a lot. I like Southeastern Louisiana to take down Florida A&M.
Got a lot of FCS picks in the end. I like that.
I really didn't mean to. I wouldn't say they're all my. I haven't sat down and researched many of them. They're just kind of the eye test and watching the full FCS football season and keeping up with it. You know what teams are better than others. Southeastern's better than Florida A&M, mainly because they have a good quarterback in an FCS football that's very important to have. Southern Illinois faded late and South Dakota got good late. And South Dakota, man, my mind is not. South Dakota State, too many of those Midwest teams. I think they're a better team than UC Davis. UC Davis played a kind of a weaker schedule all season. So I like it. I'm digging it. I liked all those picks. We kind of flew through this episode, but I think that's necessary for Thanksgiving week. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's it. I think I like my 5 to 7 plays.
Yeah, maybe Michigan money line. Let's get crazy. Let's throw like 15 units down on Michigan money line. Just
15 units.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that at all. So for Bennett Conlon, my name's Jack Fitzpatrick. You guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving week. Hopefully some of these bets hit. I mean, last week we did pretty good, not to toot our own horn. So tune in, subscribe wherever you find podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating. That would be fantastic. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, which I would imagine you guys knew that if you're listening to the podcast. And you can also find us at DRF Sports on YouTube. And then all of the content is posted there, as well as the regular DRF Sports podcast and the Sunday and Saturday 6-pack. It's great stuff. You can find Bennett Conlon at Bennett Conlon on Twitter. And it's where all his writing is. And you can find me on Twitter at FITZ all the way, Fitz all the way. And also at DRF_sports. Have a wonderful rest of your day. See ya.